On April 20th, we will experience a hybrid solar eclipse in Aries, on the very last degree of Aries. Now, for the last 18 months or so, we experienced eclipses happening on the Taurus-Scorpio axis. But things are starting to shift now from Taurus-Scorpio to Aries-Libra. Now, we still have eclipses in Taurus on the Taurus-Scorpio axis, but eventually the lunar nodes, which are the eclipses points, will shift to the Aries-Libra axis in July, ushering a new trend, activating this axis. But before that, on April 20th, we are having an introduction of this new trend with the solar eclipse falling in Aries. Now, I mentioned in my previous video, so check this out to understand more about the nature of that eclipse, because after the eclipse, the sun and the moon will shortly move into Taurus to square Pluto, which is highly cathartic. This eclipse is very cathartic and transformative. So check my previous video for more information about this. Now, in this video, I want to focus on Aries and Libra meaning. You know, the themes of Aries and Libra, as this axis will be a highly significant trend for the next 2 years or so. Now, Aries-Libra is a very personal axis. You know, and when the eclipses fall and occur on this polarity, it will propel us to master this axis, to integrate this polarity. Aries is the self, awareness of the self. Libra is awareness of others, relational domain. Now, the North Node will be in Aries. The South Node will be in Libra, which implies that we are called to integrate this axis, but with more emphasis on the Aries energy, meaning that we are moving towards Aries, embodying the qualities and reclaiming the Aryan principles, while resolving the issues of Libra, where the South Node is. You know, the South Node highlights the dark side or the issues of the sign that it is in. So, usually, signs and polarities on any axis truly are in relationship to each other. In polarity and in relationship to each other. So, Aries, Libra, self and others. This is the domain of self-others, meaning that we exist in relation to each others. Now, let's go deep into the meaning of Aries and the meaning of Libra. To understand the signs deeper, we look at the symbology of the seasons. You know, we are practicing here tropical astrology. And the signs are or have less to do with the actual constellations and more to do with the seasons. Now, this video is going to be a little bit nerdy, you know, but if this is a new information to you, you're going to find it very fascinating and it will deepen your understanding and your love to astrology, which is always the purpose of these videos. So, Aries starts at the equinox point, the meeting of the ecliptic, which is the path of the sun around the earth, and the equator. Now, it's okay if you not familiar with those things. I just want you to get the symbology of this that gives meaning to Aries. Now, Aries starts here, you know, at the equinox point, when the sun is ascending above the equator. You know, the sun reaches this point on March 21st. This is the beginning of the spring in the northern hemisphere, when the days equal the nights. Then the sun ascends above the equator and the days are starting to be longer than the nights in the northern hemisphere. So this is the symbology that I want you to understand. The sun is ascending. Days are becoming longer than the night. The light is starting to gain more momentum. The light is winning, meaning the light of the self is winning. The sun represents your core identity. And this is why, in terms of the dignities and abilities of the planets and signs, the sun is exalted in Aries. You know, the sun is ascending above the equator, exalted. The light of the self is winning. Now, the light is winning, the self is winning. In Aries, it's all about winning. but winning the heroic journey of individuation, of becoming who you are meant to be. Aries is a domain conducive for the self to be itself. So Aries represent the will, the courage, the audacity to claim and assert your identity and claim your space in the world. When you understand the signs from this perspective, they are no longer just keywords. You understand the essence of those archetypes truly. So Aries represent the will, the courage, and the audacity to claim and assert your identity and claim your space in the world. Asserting your boundaries, your role, your heroic journey, the courage to take bold actions, which all this requires deep self-focus that can be sometimes at the expense of others. So an unregulated Aries, immature Aries, can come up as selfishness, competitiveness, impulsiveness, competitiveness, defensive, and so on. Aries is not about what's socially appropriate. It's not about morality, ethics, and grace. You're going to find those themes in Libra as we integrate this polarity. But Aries in and by itself is the instinct. It's very instinctual. It is the desire and the impulse to be, even if sometimes can be at the expense of others or disregarding others. Yet, through trials and errors, through pumping into others, we learn how to refine ourselves in Aries. Through this friction, we learn how to be better at including others, which what Libra truly about, including others. So the maturity of the Aries energy, which the North Node is invoking during the eclipses, the North Node is calling us to embody the quintessence of Aries, which is to cultivate deeper self-awareness in relationship to your purpose, to your role, to your passion, becoming clear about who you are and what you want, while cultivating a purpose and then initiating in alignment with this purpose. To have the courage to initiate, to take the leap in life, and act autonomously. So as we mature in Aries, we become more courageous, but less defensive and more responsive to the life force energy that moves us. Here we grant ourselves the permission to follow the fire of our passion, to trust our instinct, to develop healthy boundaries and self-assertion that are required to actualize oneself. So there is a deep self-satisfaction in Aries. Your true self is deeply satisfying. Nothing is more satisfying and fulfilling than being yourself. And that is what this domain is about. To know yourself and to be yourself and to take actions accordingly. And ultimately, in Aries, to become the leader, but to lead yourself first, then others. Yet to embody the true leadership qualities, this requires that we integrate awareness of others, which what Libra is about. So, what is Libra? While in Aries we meet ourselves, this is the domain, Aries is the domain of self-awareness. In Libra we meet others. This is the domain of awareness of others. Libra starts at the fall equinox. Here the days are equal to nights. There is balance. But the sun is descending below the equator. The sun is falling. In the dignities and the debilities of the planets, the sun is in its fall in Libra. Astronomically speaking, it is falling below the equator, meaning the self is falling. It is obscured. Self-awareness is diminished in Libra and replaced by awareness of others. The nights are getting longer than the days, symbolizing that the self is making space for someone other than itself. Then what occurs here is this. We start gaining self-awareness in relation to each other or to another, meaning we learn about ourselves in relating. And remember, Libra is air element. And air is not very defined, is not constrained, is not confined, meaning your sense of self isn't concretely defined here. However, Libra is social. Air is social, meaning you define yourself, you define even your worth through your connections. This is Libra. Then you are compelled to learn the art of connecting. So in Libra, we stand on one side of the scale and we learn to coexist with others on the opposite side of the scale. We learn to find ways to bond on equal terms. We strive to maintain this balance and this harmony. This is essential in Libra. We are not inherently comfortable with conflict in Libra. We avoid conflict at all costs. Then the need for peace and harmony can sometimes come at the expense of oneself, one's own boundaries, and so on. So when the eclipses activate this axis with the South Node being in Libra, we are being called to face the fear and the issues that Libra invokes. The fear of conflict, the fear of disrupting the harmony. Those themes are going to be so present during the eclipses, during this eclipse as well. The pain of losing one's sense of self when we are trying to avoid the disruption or the rejection. Those themes, harmony, symmetry, beauty, rhythm, are all Libra principles. And they are universal principles. And we find safety in these principles. Disrupting the rhythms, disrupting the peace doesn't feel safe. A distorted tune doesn't feel pleasurable. Remember, Libra is ruled by Venus. It's about the pleasure. It's a pleasure in symmetry, the pleasure in justice, the pleasure of harmony and peace. But not every encounter will be a peaceful one. And peace, true peace, is truly only attainable as we cultivate self-awareness. So here we are learning that harmony isn't always pleasurable, and boundaries are essential part in establishing peace. Sometimes facing conflict is essential part in establishing harmony. So self-awareness is crucial to maintain inner peace and therefore healthier relationships. So you can see how we can integrate this axis. Reality refines itself through us in relation to its polarity. Reality becomes whole and complete through us in integrating the polarities in life. And harmony, the harmony we want and we seek and we feel safe in, is when the friction that is inherent to reality between the opposite is accepted. In Libra, we mostly fear losing the contact. The fear of not being accepted, loved, heard, seen. We want the contact. So the biggest dilemma in Libra is this. I'm not heard. I'm not loved. I'm not accepted for who I am. But how can one be heard and accepted if they are not singing their own tune in life? If they are not authentic within themselves? If they are compromising? So if one is self-compromising, they cannot be loved for who they are. So even love here is not fully received, is not really fulfilling. Still, what's important in Libra is to keep the connection. The priority is to relate. As in Libra, we know ourselves in relation to others. And this is why it is essential in Libra to keep the connection. But you can see how this can be self-compromising, and how this can overshadow the self. Compromising your needs, compromising self-awareness as a result of this codependency in Libra. Though it's important to know this, the lack of boundaries and the self-compromise that can happen in Libra is rooted in the lack of self-awareness. Remember, the sun falls in Libra. It's descending. The self is becoming more and more obscured, resulting in diminishing in self-awareness. So the key here is not to go and assert yourself, but to know yourself, to gain first self-clarity, and to face the risk that this self-focus entails. Then self-assertion and setting boundaries become natural. They come natural. In Libra, when you when we are not having, when we don't have inherently a clear vision and clear awareness about who we are, about our emotional needs and our true boundaries, then it is increasingly difficult to stand for yourself and to be yourself. And this is why Libra is stigmatized with people pleasing. By the way, this is in no way talking bad about Libra in any way. You know, I have my sun in Aries, but I have my moon in Libra and I love my moon. You know, and there are so many Libra dominant people who are highly mature with high level of self-awareness and emotional intelligence in relationships, as this is the learning curve in Libra. This is the true evolutionary intention in this domain. But what I'm highlighting here is what the South Node will trigger while in Libra. So this is not personal or directed towards a group of people. This is a collective interpretation of a domain that is part of our collective psyche, which is the Libra Aries domain. That will be activated during the eclipses. That will be activated during this solar eclipse. So the key in Libra is to cultivate self-awareness and to gain self-clarity. Meaning, what do you really want? You know, deep down inside of you, what is important to you? What do you want your life to stand for? What sort of qualities do you want to cultivate as a person? What sort of person do you want to be? What sort of relationships do you want to build? What do you value in life? What would make your life more meaningful, more purposeful? So take a moment during the eclipse to reflect on these questions, as this is the theme that will be prominent during every upcoming eclipse season. This has the power to rearrange your life with every eclipse, to come closer and closer towards who you are meant to be in this lifetime, which is the most satisfying and fulfilling thing you can ever attain. And this will nurture every area in your life. You know, let's look at the axis of Aries, Libra in relationship to Cancer, Capricorn. You know, you can see that they form a cross. This is the cardinal cross. And there is always immense tension on the cross and immense potential. On any cross, the immutable, the fixed, and the cardinal, there is a potential of mastery when we are looking at a cross. Now, if we're staying here on the Libra Aries, from the Aries Libra perspective, we are cultivating a balance of self-awareness and awareness of others. When you gain awareness about your emotional needs, when you know yourself, you are no longer afraid of your inner emotional reality. You feel secure in feelings, allowing vulnerability, feeling safe within yourself, feeling safe in your emotions. Here you are activating the Cancer domain, this nurturing, motherly, fertile domain. And when you are aligning deeper and deeper with your values, with what you stand for, you are activating your Capricornian domain, meaning you are actualizing yourself in the world, founded on your true values. So the Aries Libra axis doesn't exist in isolation. You know, the work here feeds and nurtures the cross. So as the eclipses occur on this axis, we are asked to face and master Aries Libra. You know, it's a dance. It's a dance. Think of Aries and Libra as a dance. When you are dancing with another, you must be in harmony with them, right? But most importantly, you must be first in harmony with yourself, with your body, aware of yourself and your body and your own rhythm in life. Now, if you only dance the dance that is acceptable, it's not your dance. It's not authentic. It isn't you. So you must first find your rhythm, your tune, your connection to yourself, in order for the dance to be true. You must listen to your own needs, your own values, your own rhythm, your own calling, your own purpose, to listen inwardly first. And that takes courage. Then you are capable of truly listening and attuning yourself to the dance of your partner without losing yourself. You can safely extend yourself to co-create a new rhythm, a new dance, a new relationship. This is a new entity that you are co-creating. As you listen to yourself, then you are heard. You are allowing yourself to be heard, to be loved for who you are. And your identity is redeemed here in Libra. Your identity is redeemed. Which gets us to Aries. The domain of the birthplace of the self. This is the first sign in the zodiacs. This is the birthplace of the self. And here lies an epic battle of consciousness forging its path towards individuation. And in Aries, we must be victorious. For nothing plagues the soul and the psyche of Aries more than the agony of defeat. The victory here is not one over another, but rather over the self. A courageous act of self-discovery and self-individuation. Yet, we should always in Aries be careful not to ignite unnecessary fires, meaning to choose and refine one's battle in Aries. This brings peace to Libra, brings a sense of safety to Libra, where battles are not arbitrary, but rather aligned with one's purpose. Meaning that we are not aggressive for the sake of it, nor do we engage in confrontation as a sport. Instead, we ignite the fire of self-awareness where our identity awakens. We are focusing on our inner battle and the courage to forge our path. This is our battle. To reclaim our purpose, our role, our identity, and our place in the world. And Aries is cardinal fire. It is this spark that ignites, the entirety of the astrology wheel, meaning the entirety of your life. Without this healthy ignition of your sense of self and the awareness of the self, nothing flourishes in the signs to follow, meaning in your life. So during the eclipse, grant yourself the space to be self-oriented and self-focused through self-reflection on the question that I mentioned before. And perhaps during this eclipse, engage in some solo activities, especially if you're someone who always needs company. So during the eclipse, do your favorite thing on your own, and feel the self-satisfaction of your own company. Also, you can practice allowing yourself to take a bold decision, to make a bold decision, or to take a bold action. Aries is always rewarded for their courage. The biggest regret in Aries is when you missed living the life that you know is meant for you, when you haven't awakened the giant within. So in Aries, we must commit to igniting the sun, meaning the self. For without the sun, the self, there is no life. But also to acknowledge that we are igniting the inner sun with a purpose. And your purpose must be in harmony with the people you come in contact with. To be in service truly. To be a dance that inspires and uplift others to create their own.